Hi, welcome to the Cheltenham Pioneer Cemetery. Established in October 1864, Cheltenham Pioneer Cemetery was Melbourne's first cemetery within the Bayside area. This historic cemetery is proudly the resting place of many notable Victorians, whose lives and stories we will take you through today. We will start this tour at the gates of the cemetery. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the rightful owners of the land in which Cheltenham Pioneer Cemetery lies, the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to the elders past and present and emerging. To your left is the memorial site of Eliza, a member of the Boonwurrung tribe who passed in 1877. Located at the front of the cemetery is also the first ever burial, John Fullerton Hunter. John was born 15th December 1840 in Lanark, Glasgow, Scotland. John, his father Hugh, and his two brothers David and Daniel immigrated to Australia in 1852 on the Aberfoyle. John worked as a wheelwright at his father's business until he passed away on the 25th of March 1865 at the age of 24. He had been suffering from tuberculosis and passed in his father's home in Centre Dandenong Road, Cheltenham. Buried in this area is John BLENCLOWE, one of the 4 known former convicts buried at the cemetery. At age 19, John BLENCLOWE was charged with having stolen 3 nightcaps, 3 pairs of stockings, and several other articles from his master. John was charged a 14-year sentence and shipped off to Australia. He was confined for 104 days before he was granted 18 months probation. John served his probation just outside of Hobart, where he met Elizabeth Horner. They married and had 3 children and moved to Victoria in March 1850, where John worked as a pastry cook. John and Elizabeth had 11 children by 1854. John died aged 50 in 1870 after being kicked in the abdomen by a horse. Located just near the summer house is the burial site of Cleveland Cole, an Alpine pioneer. Cleveland, also known as Cleve, was born 14th May 1897 in Fitzroy. He was an expert skier and had considerable experience of travelling in remote and inaccessible parts of Victoria. On August 5th, 1936, Cleve set out with Mick Hull and Howard Mitchell on a hike through the Bogong High Plains to the Bogong summit, eventually reaching Toowong. It was an ambitious journey as Mount Bogong is the highest peak in Victoria. As they were climbing, however, blizzard-type conditions set in. The men were searching for the summit cairn to help locate where they were. However, they couldn't find it through the snow and winds. For over an hour, they tried to get off the plateau, with no luck, so they decided to dig themselves in for shelter. The men stayed in this dugout for 4 nights, trying to find their way. They rationed food and huddled together for warmth. Eventually, they found their way to the cairn, which allowed them to fix their position and give them hope for an escape. They continued their trek, all suffering from frostbite. Cleve's eyesight was seriously affected, resulting in him having some serious falls, worsening his condition. Cleve could not continue walking, so Howard Mitchell decided to push on and find help, as the other 2 men tried to stay sheltered. Mitchell eventually reached the home of a cattleman, and a search party of 120 men was organized. The search party found the 2 men carrying Cleve out in a makeshift stretcher. The search party arrived in Omeo at 5 p.m, and the local doctor worked for 4 hours trying to restore circulation in Cleve's body. Despite their best efforts, he died at 9 p.m. To the left is the grave of Ernest William Copeland, the secretary and later vice president of Collingwood Football Club from 1895 to 1925. Copeland has left a lasting impact on the club after his retirement. The Argus said he had been regarded as the man who made the Collingwood Football Club. Copeland raised thousands of dollars for the club whilst maintaining a strict code of rules and respect from all the club's players. Richard Stremski, author of Kill for Collingwood, said Copeland was one of the men that put the club on its feet. Due to his impact, the Best and Fairest Award is now named in honour of Ernest Bud William Copeland.
And now North Melbourne, led by Captain Les Foote. The coach of the North Melbourne team is Wally Carter. He's the man behind the gun. Players, officials, and supporters stand for the playing of the national anthem.
One of the more prominent figures buried at Cheltenham Pioneer Cemetery is John Mather, an Australian landscape artist. Mather was born October 1848 in Hamilton, Lancashire, Scotland, and migrated to Australia in 1878 with his wife Margaret. In 1880, Mather helped decorate the dome of the Royal Exhibition Building in Melbourne. He was also appointed to the Board of Trustees of the Public Library, Museums and National Gallery of Victoria in 1892. Mather had an interest in rural Australian landscapes, particularly around Melbourne. Many of his paintings are now in the collection of the NGV, notably Autumn in the Fitzroy Gardens, Lake Omeo, North Gippsland, Evening, Brighton Beach, and Wintry Weather, Yarra Glen. John Henry Smith is a rare example of an African American man buried at Cheltenham. John was a US Civil War veteran before migrating to Australia. John was buried in this private grave by his friends Harry and Lottie Walking, who were buried alongside him. Colonel Alfred Hobart Sturdy was also a veteran, buried nearby. He served as a surgeon in the Australian Army Medical Corps through the First World War, Boer War, and through the Gallipoli campaign before returning to Australia in 1917, passing away in Melbourne in 1939. Thank you for visiting Cheltenham Pioneer Cemetery. We hope you enjoyed your virtual tour. If you'd like to learn more about those buried here, visit the Friends of Cheltenham website or come visit and experience the rich history we have to offer.